Dope, 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 let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick, I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Your bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers.
The rewards for the sports festival are given out by All Might, who congratulates them on their hard work and their accomplishments. When the students return to school, all they can talk about is the festival, but Izuku seems to be uninterested in the results of it. He knows he won, but it didn't really feel like a real challenge. Aizawa walks into the room and then tells them that it's time to create their hero names. But first, he shows the class, the results, and each hero that's interested in each student. Izuku ranked at the top with around 5,000. Midnight would then enter the room, and she would be helping with their hero names. Eventually, Izuku goes up with his whiteboard, and he reveals his name to be Limitless. Midnight likes the name, as she says it's simple, yet it could be very empowering to the younger generation of heroes. Next, the students have to pick a hero agency to go with, and I feel as if Izuku wouldn't want to pick any of them. His reasoning will be something along the lines of he doesn't need to learn from someone who isn't the number one hero. However, since All Might is usually very busy because he works at the school and is still a pro hero, he isn't an option. Izuku decides just to hang out around his home until the students are instructed to go back to school. On the news, he hears about the hero killer and makes a decision. Izuku goes to Hosu's city with one of his personal servants. He leaves them there in a hotel while he goes out to scout the city. This is when he sees his classmate Ida in his hero suit doing the same with the pro hero. Makes sense he's here. After all, the hero killer attacked his brother. Well then, I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and let him fight him first. For the next couple of days, Izuku explores the city and goes to a bunch of different restaurants and shopping districts. Wherever he went, he was noticed by people for winning the sports festival, which only amped his ego. That night, as he walked around, he could sense it. Something was coming, and whatever it is, was dangerous. Izuku looks up into the sky and follows a strange figure, but he can't make out what it is. This is when we see the Nomu attack an open train, breaking into the cart, but Izuku appears in front of it before it could do any damage to any of the civilians. Sorry, but I can't let you harm any of them. So, let's take this fight somewhere else. The Nomu tries to punch Izuku, but his fist isn't able to reach him. This is when people start to take pictures and flashes begin to spark around the train, as it was like someone was lighting up the sky with how many phones were out. He kicks the Nomu away as he turns his head to see someone recording. He looks into the camera and tells them his hero name before jumping out of the train cart with people cheering for him. Izuku drags the Nomu to an area where he sees flames. This is where Endeavor and Todoroki were fighting their own Nomu alongside other pro heroes. Izuku jumps down, holding the Nomu to the shock of everyone. Endeavor burns the head of it, and he questions why Izuku did not defeat it himself. I'm not supposed to be here actually, and I'm not supposed to be here using my quirk without a pro hero's supervision, but there's no saying I can't defend people. Essentially, I'm just bending the rules in my favor. Hey Todoroki, go check on Ida for me. I'll be there after I evacuate the people from this area. Izuku disappears and goes to help the other citizens and get them away from the battles. This is when he sees Shigaraki standing on top of a building watching everything go on. Oh, I see. So that's why these Nomu are stronger than the first one. They're trying to improve them, and this is just a test. After evacuating the areas where battle was happening, Izuku goes back to Endeavor, who just finished fighting one of the last Nomu. Come on, we can't let your son have all the glory. Endeavor follows Izuku to where the hero killer was to see an injured Todoroki and Ida. Izuku steps in and transports them to the rooftop. Ida demands to go back down, but Izuku scoffs, as he would then sit down in front of him. You don't get it, do you? If you could beat Stain, I wouldn't have sent Todoroki here in the first place. I could have defeated him myself, but I decided to let you try first, to try and avenge your brother. But that was my mistake. I believed you would think rationally while fighting him, but you didn't. Just take a look at your injuries. Ida looks at his calves to where his quirk was to see multiple cuts in those areas. No matter what way you look at it, you were reckless. Izuku leaves them there and jumps down to help Endeavor. Izuku kicks Stain in the face, sending him flying backwards. I'm gonna draw him in, and you go for the finishing blow. Endeavor begrudgingly agrees, and Izuku jumps forward at Stain, who swings his blade. He goes for the neck of the young hero, but it doesn't even get close thanks to his infinity ability. This is when Endeavor lands a critical hit to his stomach, immobilizing Stain, as both of them look up to see Ida and Todoroki being carried away by a flying Nomu. Endeavor picks up Izuku and then throws him towards the Nomu, as he then grabs his classmates and lands on the ground while Endeavor finishes off the last Nomu. After seeing this, Stain makes the same declaration as he does in canon. After the students are taken to the hospital, the chief of police shows up. However, this time none of them get in trouble. The chief tries to argue, but Izuku defends himself and his classmates by saying it was self-defense. Plus, he uses Endeavor as a witness to his self-defense, as he only protected himself and the citizens of the city with his quirk. When Izuku returned to class, a bunch of his classmates come up to him with videos of him. These were the videos that went viral. Before he could speak on them, he was dragged to the principal's office by his homeroom teacher. This is when Principal Nezu and Aizawa would tell him what he did was reckless, but he argues that he's setting up a trap. Then he begins to explain. I think you two need to watch that video a little closer. The Nomu attempts to strike me down, but I use my quirk to stop the attack, and then I send it out of the train car before jumping out as well. I knew those videos would go viral, and the villains right now are trying to study my quirk. However, they won't be able to replicate it due to the very limited data that they have on it. Principal Nezu questions what he means by this, so Izuku begins to explain in further detail. I saw Shigaraki there, on a rooftop, but he wasn't doing anything. No fighting, he was just sitting there watching. That's when I realized it. The Nomu were being modified to counter different heroes. However, the only way they can counter something is to have knowledge on what they want to counter. Each Nomu was used as a test subject, so that the next could be stronger. The reason I know that, the villains are trying to study my quirk, is because there's no data for it in the hospitals. They only know what they see, and what they see is limited. Izuku returns to class with his teacher, who has everyone sit down in their seats. Later in the day, All Might has him suit up for a rescue training race. Izuku is in the first group, and when the race starts, he makes it to the point where All Might was standing in seconds. All Might is shocked by his speed, but it's no surprise. Then in his mind he thinks, what would have happened if he had gotten one for all instead? The students continue this exercise and then head back to their classroom, where they all begin to talk about their upcoming tests and exams. Momo walks over to Izuku, who seemed pretty relaxed, and asked him if he was nervous about the test. I'm not worried at all. I scored second on the last time, so I don't think I need to study that hard to pass. For the remaining time that they have, they study hard so that they can pass their upcoming exams. Students, this time, they would have to work in pairs, and then it's revealed that Izuku is paired with Bakugo, but he doesn't really care about that. He cares about who they're facing, as he has a pretty good idea. But this confirms it when he sees All Might jump down from the skies, greeting the pair as he's the one that's gonna test them.